So today we have Keith Blakemore-Noble, the Mindset Master himself, who holds our life coach seat. Keith, over to you.
Thank you very much, Tony. Yes, so my name is Keith Blakemore-Noble. Keith Blakemore-Noble, BSc-ONS, FBCS, CITP. I've spoken on stages around the world. I've won multiple awards over the years, written and published 6 books. I'm a master hypnotist, master NLP practitioner, hypnosis trainer, NLP trainer, public speaker trainer, which is all well and good. But who is Keith? Who's the person behind all of this? And that's what I thought I'd spend a few minutes just sharing with you a little bit about who the heck I am, what makes me me, what led to creating this amazing and incredibly humble human being that you see before you today. So let us take a look at what makes me me. When we're born, we're all dealt different hands. We all have to play the hands that we're dealt. Sometimes we have great cards in our deck, in our hand. Sometimes some ones which can maybe be a bit of a challenge. But these are the ones often which shape us and turn us into who we are. So for me, there's probably 4 things that I was dealt that in their own way have all shaped who I've become, some to a greater extent, some to maybe a more hidden extent. 4 things. The first of those is I used to be painfully shy. Basically, I had crippling social anxiety. I was terrified of the thought of speaking with strangers, which held back a lot of my dreams. It made it really difficult to make friends, all of these sorts of things. So I fell into a career of IT, which is great because you can do all your stuff without having to speak with people. But it's very lonely, very debilitating. However, it did have a plus side because it's that crippling shyness, that social anxiety that pushed me into having a panic attack, which caused me to study NLP and hypnosis to sort myself, and then to ultimately go on the path which set me to what I'm doing now. So that's the first of the 4 big things which held me back initially, but really made for a massive positive change in the end. A second one which has shaped me is depression. I appear to be predisposed towards depression. There appears to be genetic component for some people in depression. And I've had 4 major depressive episodes throughout my life. I'm not talking about wake up one day and you're thinking, oh, I feel a bit fed up today. I'm talking full on clinical depression lasting for months, even years in some cases. It's happened 4 times. Yes, it has led to 3 attempts. None of those succeeded. I have to point that out because I mentioned that to one person once that I attempted it 3 times. They said, "Oh, did it succeed?" It's like, well, honey, unless you think you're speaking to a ghost, I think we can safely say no, it did not. And in 2 of those depressive episodes, I was pretty much bullied. It felt at the time bullied by friends into seeking help, and I went on medication. It makes a massive difference, contrary to what some people would have you believe. Going on medication to help with depression, it doesn't make you all spaced out and stop you being who you are. And why is my camera stopped? But hey, there we go. It doesn't do any of those things at all. All it does is just takes the edge off just enough that you can actually cope with life. So that's the second thing which has kind of shaped me. The third one, I was born in 1966, so I am 58, which meant I went to school in the 70s and 80s. And I actually grew up in a rural part of northeast Scotland. Now, at school, once you reach a certain age, you start to develop interests. And I noticed that my mates, they were starting to become interested in girls. I was thinking, okay, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But why isn't it happening? What's going on? Why am I not being interested in girls? And why is Andy looking so hot? Growing up in the 70s and 80s with no role models, no one you can speak to, it gets very confusing when you can't figure out, is there something wrong with me? What's going on? What's happening here? It turns out I'm gay. Sorry, ladies, it's true. Sorry, gents, to break your hearts, but I am now happily partnered. But growing up in the 70s and 80s, no role models, nobody to speak to, taboo subject, it really does screw you up. And that had a big impact on a significant part of my life until I was able to fully come to terms with it and be who I truly am. And the fourth thing which has shaped who I am in a big way, I'm autistic. Now, I didn't discover this until I was in my late 30s, perhaps even early 40s. I can't remember exactly when, but it was over that period of time. And once I got diagnosed, once I realized, it was a case of, oh, that makes sense. Suddenly, looking back over lots of stuff, makes sense. I can see why I behave in that way. I can see why that happens. And sometimes people will say, you shouldn't label. We shouldn't label ourselves. When we label ourselves, we're putting ourselves in a box and it's very limiting. Quite the opposite. Labels can be incredibly empowering because you go from, what the heck is going on? What's wrong with me? To, oh, that's who I am. That explains the kind of behaviors. That's how my brain works. So that's why I see things the way I do and others don't. Makes sense now. I can work with it rather than trying to battle against it. It can be very liberating when you discover who you are and even apply those labels. And yes, I do mask, which is ironic given one of the books I wrote, I know, but hey, there we go. But those are four of the key things which you may not have known about. Some you may not, but they've all shaped me into who I am. And I just want to finish off, now we know who I am, or a little bit more about what's made who I am. I just want to share with you some of the things that I like, some of the things I enjoy, some of my hobbies and interests for the last few minutes, because they can tell you a little bit about a person as well. So for as long as I can remember, I've loved music. I've loved playing music, wanted to be in a band, never was, mainly because I was incredibly shy, but hey, there we go. This is a few years old now. Collection of synthesizers that I used to have. Now it's all just one keyboard and all software synthesizers. Still absolutely love playing them. I've done a bunch of covers which are on my SoundCloud. I can let you have the link if you want to check those out sometime. But music, a massive part of my life. Performing, I always wanted to be a performer. Being painfully shy, it was never going to happen. But once I conquered all that, I got into local theatre. I've done various bits of local theatre. I've been in Hello Hello. I've done Shakespeare. And also, biggest love of all, pantomime. Here's me in three of them. At the top, the very top there, that's in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This vision of beauty here, the evil queen in Snow White. No, sorry, the evil queen in Alice in Wonderland. And over the far side there, Ursula in The Little Mermaid. And yes, I sang Poor Unfortunate Souls. And I got a comment from someone who I didn't even know was going to the show. They put a comment afterwards, simply said, best rendition of Poor Unfortunate Souls I've ever heard. So I was quite pleased with that. And I think young me, who'd always wanted to be a performer but was too shy, would have been over the moon to have heard that. I love reading, always have done, a ferocious reader. Read loads of books, mainly sci-fi, science fiction, fantasy. That's my favorites. Here's my 5 all-time favorite authors: Arthur C. Clarke, Isaac Asimov, Peter F. Hamilton, a more modern author, but in the same sort of vein as Clarke and Asimov, J.R.R. Tolkien, of course, and Terry Pratchett. Absolutely love all of their works. I can spend hours in a bookshop, days, weeks in a bookshop. Absolutely love books. I also love writing books. I always wanted to be an author when I was growing up. I've written 6 books. They're all non-fiction. Still haven't written fiction yet, mainly because writing non-fiction turns out to be a heck of a lot easier. But I'll maybe get around to writing fiction, perhaps as a project when I retire. Films, TV, you might imagine. I love it. Star Wars, Blake 7. Oh, that was amazing. Doctor Who, Monty Python's Flying Circus. 4 favorites there. And I'll finish off with my favorite bands. Jean-Michel Jarre, Zeebeck, Status Quo, Iron Maiden, Tangerine Dream, Pink Floyd. I'm fortunate to have seen all but one of these live, and my all-time favorite band ever, Queen. And I was count myself really lucky to have seen Queen live at Nebworth with Freddie Mercury on their very last concert with Freddie. So this is me. This is who I am. A quick whistle-stop tour of what makes me who I am and the sorts of things that I like and enjoy. I hope you found that interesting. And yeah, this is me. This is who I am. Thank you.